Thanks for joining us today for Parks Associates Connections virtual conference series. I'm really excited to be hosting this session. I'm Elizabeth Parks, the President and CMO of Parks Associates, and today we're going to be talking about the smart home and the future outlook to 2030, as well as taking a look at today's market and where the growth is coming from. I would like to send a big thank you to our event sponsors for 2025. These innovative leading companies supported us throughout the year in our virtual conference, as well as our in-person event we hosted in May. We have an amazing group today to share with you. We'll be talking with Gene LaNois from Vivint, as well as hosting an interactive panel discussion with EPB, Crestron, Ivani, and Philips Hue. So it's going to be a great conversation. And as you know, Parks Associates, I hope you know that Parks Associates is a market research and consulting company. Across the year, we publish over 100 different studies that are on a schedule of research across all areas of connected living, as well as the SMB and multifamily markets. So we have a schedule of studies and trackers that we deliver to our clients. Our proprietary data set is coming off of our survey work of 8,000 internet households quarterly, where we are able to track the current adoption of products and also use that data to help with our forecasting. In the smart home and security world, we have a tracker that covers all sorts of different players and the products they're bringing to market, as well as all of the different data points we think are most important to be tracking. Within this, we take a very, very close look at the tech giant service offerings and understanding which devices they're focused on bringing to market, as well as the different services. In addition to these major players that cross almost all ecosystems of the home, we're looking at the key market players, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, how these markets are converging, how customers are getting these products, and what are the most popular services driven on a foundation of connectivity and broadband. At Parks Associates, we really do want to help your company succeed. And so we're giving you the opportunity to ask us any questions you'd like and get a free data cut. So if you're interested, please take this QR code and fill out a form on our website, and we will get back to you within a week. This group is led by Ilan Jiang of our Consumer Analytics Group. Also, we publish white papers across the year, and this is a great way to help inform and educate the market, leveraging Parks Associates insights and proprietary data sets. So here are some of the latest studies we have delivered from these white papers that we've published. And so please go to our website and take a chance to help educate yourself beyond the markets that you sit in. At Connections, we are highlighting the leaders in smart home and security, as well as broadband, connected health, energy management. And across the year, we've hosted these virtual events. They're all available on replay if you're interested. And of course, we welcome many of you in the Dallas area for our signature event we hosted in May. Again, it's a huge thank you to these sponsors who support us. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to host these events. And so again, want to recognize them. And as you're thinking about the end of the year and next year, please mark your calendars for our 20th annual Connections Summit at CES. We are so excited to come to kick off the year at the Consumer Electronics Show and bring this program to you, as well as a really fun reception. In addition, we have our 30th annual Connections event. This again is the signature conference Parks Associates hosts. We'll be back in California, bringing the big tech audience with us. And so if you're interested in getting involved, please consider reaching out to Mindy Sue and Ashton on our team. They'd love to help you with understanding how to partner with us to help elevate your company's position in the market. So our session today really is focused on what is coming, what's now, and where's the deployments of AI that we see showing up everywhere, impacting the market with some of the major players. Here's a highlight from some of our research work, tracking some of these big players and the things that they're doing to bring ecosystems together in the connected home space. We also see new opportunities to expand different options, particularly when we look at monitoring services. And so you can see there's a wide range of things that we're looking at coming to market, and new value, layers of value built on the AI technologies being deployed. I want to highlight the caregiver market also. We just published a study on assisted living for seniors, and there's 30 million households who are looking to figure out how to keep their loved ones safe and secure, and that is leveraging the devices and those attached services. We're showing now that 16 million households are already using these types of devices, and you can see that growth here over the past few years. This is a close area to watch as we end the year. And finally, I want to highlight the great role that energy is playing in the smart home. When consumers are thinking about the smart home market, energy is at the very top of the list, along with safety and security. And that is going to bring us to introduce our keynote speaker today. I'm very excited that Gene is joining us, and will be sharing some of his perspective and what Vivint is doing in the market today. So Gene, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I'm excited to talk with you today a little bit about the transformation of the smart home, how Vivint particularly is expanding access to consumers through different channel strategies, and also this long-term value of the customer view that you all have. So let's start out. Thank you again for joining us. And if you would, go ahead and introduce yourself and your role at Vivint.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. And super privileged to just get a chance to talk with you and know that the folks on the line are all interested in this space that we all play in. So hi, everybody. I'm Gene LaNois. I'm our Vice President of Product Marketing here at Vivint. In product marketing at Vivint, we basically sit in between innovation, or our product team, and our go-to-market teams. While I also get a chance to play in all that, I also am in charge of channel expansion for us. So yeah, just excited to dive into some of the details of our business.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's start off and just talk a little bit about how we know there's an evolution going on in the smart home space, but there's also been an evolution with Vivint in particular, and maybe take us through some of this transformation for the company and some of the things you've done in the past to get us where we are today.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about coming to work at Vivint is, prior to Vivint, I had 10 years in the smart home space on the B2B side, getting a great chance to run all the B2B business with the Google Nest side. And I had NRG as a customer, the parent company of Vivint, and I had Vivint as a customer. And so getting a chance to see how NRG and Vivint come together as one company, and now being on the inside and getting a chance to not only get exposed to the smart home business that I love, but now also, the heavy participation in the energy space that you were calling out in some of the intro, is really creating a lot of momentum in the involvement of not only Vivint, but the products that we're focused on, and how we set up those services off of the product portfolio and platform. So, today Vivint is a much different company than it was when I had it as a partner in a prior role. We still have our tried and true go-to-market channels, where our door knocking business is still very, very strong. Our inside sales group is very strong, but we just recently also, shockingly, it may sound a little odd, but we just literally opened up our e-commerce business in August. So this is the first time that Vivint enables a customer to choose a package or build a customized system online without necessarily talking to somebody at Vivint. They could choose it, build it, and pay for it, and schedule the install. So yeah, we're pretty excited by some of the new things that we're doing.
Well, and it puts Vivint in a really unique position because of that vertical integration that is really derived really from just you all, giving you lots of flexibility to bring new offerings to market and also experiment with meeting the consumer really wherever they're at. So maybe you can share a little bit just about how expectations have changed and some of the things that have gotten a very positioned company to expand with that offering of choice for that customer.
Yeah. You hit on one point there. You know, as an outsider coming in and now being on the inside, the big thing that I am really embracing here is we're arguably the most vertically integrated smart home security company in the United States, where we make and design our products to our specs, the way that we want them to run. It runs off of our platform. It is our sales teams that are out there selling this, and it's our monitoring stations that are running this, and it's our app that enables all of that customer experience off of that product. The big thing that we feel like we've got an opportunity to lean into, and the timing feels incredibly right, is this opportunity to really introduce energy and energy usage at a deeper level within smart home. Video security, those have become sort of staples of the business. But now, how do you really enable an awareness of the home at an energy level so that consumers either can decide to continue whatever habit they may be running within their home? That could be charging of an EV, could be setting up and charging of a battery, or using of a battery. Obviously, their heating or cooling, their water heating. Those are all key pieces that if you have awareness to those, we think that can help you operate your home, whether or not that's through a manual piece or through us utilizing AI to give you information to run that home a little better that you may say yes to. Those are all things that we have a clear vision on, that we understand. You talked about expectations, and you were showing that slide in the beginning. I love that slide because it really shows how customers are sort of assuming that if they are utilizing smart home products, that those connected products are going to add up and help them save money on how they operate their home. So really, I think, would that have been thought of 10 years ago when I started, getting into the smart home business? That's over 10. But I don't think it had that same clarity, whereas now the evolvement of the business has gotten people to a point where they understand that a connected product in the right categories should be able to be more energy efficient or provide more energy savings opportunity than an unconnected product. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're witnessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So many really good points there. I think, home automation, even going back decades, the value in smartness has been around convenience, security, and energy savings. And we've seen that for all almost 40 years of our research work as to why consumers are really valuing these products. And in the security market, there is a level of maturity with alarms systems in the US market. And now we've got the video doorbells and cameras coming online with attached services. I was just at the Monitoring Association meeting, and I shared some data with them about, these opportunities beyond security and really being that hub, that central controller of the home, and what a great opportunity there is for security players to come together with energy. So maybe in thinking ahead, when we're thinking about security and energy and that convergence, what are some of the things that Vivint's doing to really bring this all together now, and and thinking down the line?
Yeah. Your all your words are sparking a lot of thoughts of all kinds of things. I want to try to keep it concise for you, but one of the big pieces that we're doing, it's in action today, is NRG, our parent company with the Reliant brand of electricity retailing in Texas, ERCOT area, is for those who may not know on the line, Texas is a deregulated market, which means that consumers can choose who they buy electricity from. They don't have necessarily just a default, and it's a very competitive market for a commodity of buying electrons through a wire. And so that business is, as you can imagine, it's not only very competitive, it's very tough. There's costs associated with getting customers, and there's costs associated, of course, with losing customers. So when you get somebody as a customer, how do you really add value to that? And that's where we're taking the smart home products from Vivint and putting them into what a general consumer might just see as their electricity plan. So as somebody decides that they want Reliant as their electricity provider, we're enabling smart home, both a thermostat and a video doorbell as part of that program of reselling them electricity. The thermostat, of course, we're utilizing our smart comfort, we're utilizing virtual power plant opportunities, demand response within that program. But it is also the video doorbell, and a lot of people would say, well, why would you put a video doorbell into an energy traditional utility viewpoint? The video doorbell adds a level of as much as I get excited by like a thermostat behind me and saving money from a smart thermostat. The video doorbell does give somebody an opportunity to have awareness on their home, but most important, it's also the area that creates interaction with a consumer with their app. And so we're taking the energy awareness of the meter and enabling that. If you are a Reliant customer, we're enabling you to have access to that energy awareness, giving you disaggregation of the bill and putting that inside the Vivint app. But the doorbell gives the consumer the reason to be in the app and the interact with the app. I don't live in Texas, and do I have my utility provider app? Yes. What do I use it for? I look at month over month and I pay my bill, and that's it. And this enables us to have interactions averaging 10 to 12 interactions per day, sometimes with our app from an electricity customer point of view. And so that is an amazing opportunity to show what are the other things that are enabled by having that app, while also giving awareness and energy saving opportunities to that consumer, where they can see, oh, I'm spending maybe a little less than I thought I was, so I'm going to decide to maybe be a little bit more comfortable than I was yesterday, or I'm possibly spending a little bit more and I don't want to spend that much, and I can take an action to help save some money within the home as well. So that's the biggest piece. I get asked all the time, why did NRG buy Vivint? I think that's one of the biggest demonstrations of how we're utilizing that. And that is sparking conversations for us with utilities across the country, just looking at what are the ways that they might be able to create more interaction with their customers, even in a regulated market.
Yeah, and our data really greatly supports this idea of these two big ecosystems coming together and the value that consumers see. Also, the challenge with the utility player being a utility player and really kind of needing a consumer brand to help bridge that engagement piece, which becomes so important for the continuous value that is provided. And we also know with data centers coming online, and there's going to be a real crisis with capacity very soon with energy, and the utilities are going to absolutely be tapping into the consumer market and while it's individual households, when you add it all up, that there is a lot there to be managing on the grid. I want to jump over and talk a little bit about this new e-commerce strategy that you all are introducing, and you know, what that's all about, why that's important for the new customer of today and for the future.
Yeah, you know, being excited on the fact that we're doing e-commerce sort of shows how traditional the Vivint business had been. It seems odd that we weren't necessarily in the e-commerce business. We, of course, drove tremendous amounts of interest from consumers to get in contact with us through our digital marketing. But being able to buy a system, it's really important. Parks Associates, you know, obviously is a big driver of putting pressure on us to also be in that space, showing how many transactions and how big that e-commerce business was, and knowing that we needed to be in that space. So we've done two major pieces there. One was opening up the e-commerce, allowing a customer to build a system or buy pre-done packages, schedule right from there, pay for that right there if they want. But if you really want to drive e-commerce, you need to show up correctly through the search. And we know that shopping online, and people are always going to be mindful of a well-priced system, an affordable system. And so while we also launched our e-commerce, we did that in sync while launching a new security system that we call Home Protect. And Home Protect is basically our most foundational security product. And we launched that while offering a system that's $199 installed to the consumer. And what that does for us is, where we still have premium products, we still have the premium experience with the app, but it really enables us to compete within that e-commerce level. You look at the growth of the companies that have you know, just expanded so much in the past few years by enabling that price point at a DIY level. We're very confident that we can compete in what many see as a DIY price, but offering that premium pro installation guaranteed by us, installed by somebody in Vivint uniform, showing up as a Vivint employee, and just enable a different level. You know, we think that there are many people that are choosing certain price points or DIY product because of that price point. So we wanted to compete a little bit differently, enable energy savings to be part of that Home Protect system, but you can get what many might consider to be a DIY price while getting pro install. So that was a big move for us. We haven't been very loud on that release. We'll get louder before the end of the year for sure, but it is available to be seen on Vivint.com.
Great. That's a great explanation, and it really is all about meeting the customer where they're at. And frankly, the DIY market has broadened. It has expanded security solutions. We are beyond, you know, these just a very high-end premium experience, and there's the opportunity to cater to a whole nother set of customers, and that's really a huge opportunity there, as well as layer additional value on top, you know, with these added devices. So thank you for sharing all of that. You've also got this great messaging and opportunity with energy savings and security. And again, these are things people care most about, and certainly are willing to be paying for. Wonderful explanation on that. Let's just talk about the long-term value. And also, I'd like to say to our audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat bot, and I will see if I can incorporate this in the last few minutes. But tell us a little bit about this vision of the long-term value of a customer and the idea of privacy and trust, and
Yep.
really what every company wants to be to keep their customer and that great retention.
Yeah. On the retention side, as a company that goes off of subscription for a main source of revenue, maintaining that subscription is it's paramount. And so we, thankfully, we think we have more room to go, but we're retaining customers on average for 9 years. And what's really interesting about that is most of the people are originally coming in from a security point of view, but I'm convinced that they're staying for those smart home experiences, convenience, energy savings. And so that really bolsters up confidence on my side around as we enable more of this home operating, energy savings, things that are happening for you automatically, enabling AI to give you information as an operator of the home of who is there, where are they in the home, or feeding up automatic options for you that just get incorporated automatically if you decide that that is something that you want. I'm bullish that we can really start to push that 9-year average easily, starting to look at 10, 11, 12, and so on. So I think that's one of the bigger pieces. It's super important because everybody, I don't care who you are, whether it's the faces on the screen or it's somebody listening, it's the money that is spent to go obtain a customer. It's obviously so much better to just keep them. So we're very much focused on utilizing all the new technologies, creating more home awareness, incorporating those energy savings into what we do so that we can push that 9-year envelope even wider.
Yeah, and AI technology is just those two words, or 2 letters and another word, means so much. And the pace right now with the impact of AI is something that's going to be really incredible to be tracking. We do have a question very specific about this on, so let me ask you this. If you're leveraging AI and offerings, how are you integrating that not only in the hardware, but also in the app? Is edge AI or cloud AI more of a priority?
It's a great question. I would tell you that it's a tightrope walk is the easiest way to say it. So I think, at a premium level, we believe that enabling edge AI, because of the speed that it enables at a security level, is very, very important. There is also, but the balance point is anytime you do edge AI, you're going to add cost to hardware. And so then you've got this balance point of what should happen in the cloud versus what does happen on the edge. And so it's a hybrid mix is literally the answer for us. I know, there are a lot of other products out there that enable some lower cost. We're selling systems, and we're really getting a lot of consultative time with a homeowner to really describe some of those differences. And so we, really enable a lot of on edge, but absolutely we are taking advantage of some of the lowering costs of cloud. Some of that stuff, I don't want to call it commodity, but it is, as the business for smart home and compute in general at data center levels continues, that while it's growing and it is creating higher energy costs, there is so much available that putting all of that on the edge would be impossible too. So I wish I could answer it like super clean. I guess the cleanest answer I can give you is it's hybrid. It's more of a product by product decision for us. Our outdoor camera is not the same as our video doorbell, and our thermostat is not the same as a camera. So it just depends on the product too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely hear lots of companies looking at hybrid solutions and where to best apply, whether being on the edge or in the cloud. So Gene, that's going to have to be our last word. I really greatly appreciate you joining us and sharing some of what Vivint is working on along with NRG. And, we're tracking y'all's company closely, the companies very closely, and love to share this story. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in person next time.
We'll be there. Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Okay, great. So what an awesome conversation with Gene. So thank you for listening also. And now I would like to ask our panelists to go ahead and join me. So thank you all so much for being here. That was a really great conversation with Gene, hearing a lot of things that Vivint is doing differently, and particularly bringing these big ecosystems together. So before we get started, and we're again keeping on the topic of the Smart Home Future Outlook, we're going to focus on who's making money, what are consumers buying, what are the services that come along with that, and how do we compete and change in this world. And so excellent group of presenters. I'll have you all introduce yourself in just a moment. But first, let me make sure everybody's on the same page about what we're talking about here with the smart home. We've got a lot of different devices that we categorize in the smart home category. So showing now that almost half of households in the United States, 120 million internet households total. So almost 60 million households who have at least one of these devices. We also ask consumers, who would you want to be that preferred smart home hub for centralized control? And you can see that the security provider is in a great position, but practically everybody could be a winner in this market in terms of being that centralized controller and the hub of the home. And our research really reinforces that consumers don't have that much loyalty. And one of the things that would really drive them to switch or consider a different platform is that control point, right? And being able to control all the different smartness going on in the home. And so that's one reason why we think Vivint is so interesting with that big comfort and control side, as well as security. We also know that the future world and what's coming for 2030, even more than today, are services, and more services. And so this is what we're going to be talking about with you all today. These are our topics. I would like to start off with brief introductions. And so again, thank you all for being here. If you're in the audience, we are taking questions throughout this session. So feel free to put any questions in the chat and I will work to incorporate them along the way. We are going to start with Katie. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly value your perspective in the market. And so please introduce yourself and EPB.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to spend some time with all the panelists and those of you, and look forward to some questions. I'm Katie Espeseth. I'm Vice President of New Products at EPB. EPB is an electric power distributor, and we're located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We serve about 200,000 homes with electricity. About 15 years ago, really in an effort to fulfill our mission, we built a fiber optic network that passed every home and business in our footprint. And it goes along with what Gene said. It's the convergence of communications and electricity, or communications and energy. We also took that fiber optic network and layered on broadband services. So if you look at us today, we 200,000 electric customers, about 135,000 broadband customers. We also offer triple play services, about 70% market share here in Chattanooga. And what we're most proud of is the fact that by building this network, we brought new business to Chattanooga. We just had a 15-year look back study done by our university here in town that demonstrated that, or documented that we brought about, the network has brought about a little over $6 billion of economic benefits to the community in Chattanooga. So owned by the city of Chattanooga, we feel it's our responsibility to give back. So again, thank you all and look forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being here. PG, would you like to go ahead?
Absolutely. Thank you, Elizabeth, for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So I'm PG. I work for Crestron on the product management team. For those that are not familiar with Crestron, we are a 50-year-old technology company. We make a lot of different products across a lot of different spaces. So it can be tough to summarize what we do, but I would say we essentially make a lot of different building and automation solutions. And when I say building, it's literally any type of building, from the smart homes that we're talking about, to a super yacht, a home on the water, to a luxury hotel guest room, to a meeting room in an enterprise office, to a government control center, and literally everywhere in between. And really what we aim to do is we aim to bring technology, both our own as well as from others, and integrations, which we'll talk about, really together into a single unified experience, so that whoever is using the technology in that space, it's one single experience that they use to control everything. And me personally, I'm on our product management team focused on product strategy, especially across our hospitality, marine, and residential business, which is what we call smart home. And what I try to do on a day-to-day basis is make sure that what we are prioritizing is what our customers and their customers and kind of everyone in our value chain believes it's what is best for them, and ultimately what's then best for Crestron and our growth. And just before Crestron, I spent a couple years at a smart home startup called Oro, and I started my career with 10 years at Sonos. And across really my whole career, I've revolved around smart home, especially through the lens of a professional installer or a pro in between. But I'm always excited to talk smart home and be with you all here today.
Awesome. And of course, we love Crestron, a major player we've been tracking for our entire career. I think my mom was working with Crestron back in the late 80s on the home control side. So thank you for joining us. And we're excited to have you here. So Matthew, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yep. Thank you for having me, Elizabeth. Always a pleasure to be on a panel that you host. Matt Wootton, co-founder and CTO at Ivani. We are providing sensing software that can enable IoT devices to detect people based on the disturbances in communication between them. Basically, our thesis is that the connected world could really use more context to be more useful to people. And by allowing these services to exist on both kind of new and existing devices deployed at the scale of software, you can really do a lot to make smart home smarter. In general, my background is heavily in sort of technology, so I'm kind of a nerd's nerd. And so I like solving problems, whether it directly involves our technology or not. And so the importance of all of that is that, the smart home really needs to evolve in a way that's trusted and that folks can actually appreciate and experience. And I'd like to think we're doing a lot to help with that, and we'll continue to do so into the future.
Yes, awesome. Very excited to have you joining us. So thank you for being here. George, welcome back. It's always great to have you participating at our event. So thank you for lending your time. Go ahead and introduce yourself and your role at Philips Hue.
Thanks, Elizabeth. My name's George Yianni. I work for a company called Signify, formerly the lighting division of Philips. We're the world's largest manufacturer of artificial light sources, both in the home, but also in offices, football stadiums, streets, anywhere where there's artificial light inside the world. My role is the CTO and founder of our consumer connected play that is called Philips Hue. We make internet connected smart lighting systems. We kicked off this market in 2012, really with the mission to unlock the potential of the lights that are above our heads, no matter what we are doing in and around our homes, to do more than illumination, being on or off. And so have been busy pursuing the mission to show consumers around the world that light can help them better understand their surroundings, better decorate their spaces, feel safe and secure in their own homes, and live healthier lives.
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. We've seen the lighting category really explode with different value across the different areas that it can be impactful, especially even with seniors and just lights turning on, things being there, people understand what's happening around them. So I very much appreciate all of you joining us. This is going to be a great discussion. We really are focused and are going to start off talking about where's the money, being made in these areas, what are consumers buying most, and also the idea of the DIY versus the pro. As well as, the broadband connectivity position as the foundation of everything in the smart home, right? And that's why Katie's got such a amazing view for us today. So George, I want to start with you, especially because you've got some history here with Signify and the Philips Hue brand, and explaining the different parts of the value chain. Where are you all seeing your most success? Especially as we move into a world where hardware needs support, which means there has to be money to support the hardware and these new hardware as service models. So I'm going to let you kick us off here.
Sure. So, when we were busy starting off Philips Hue, we actually tested the idea of actually giving away the hardware and making subscription revenue off it. But 15 years ago when we were doing that study, that really did not resonate. People like to own the hardware they put and build into their homes. And while I do see that slowly changing, I still think that is very much true today. People, if they're given the choice, tend to prefer to actually own the products they put inside their home, which of course leads to a problem if you want to build high quality, ever improving, ever up-to-date smart home products. What we have found has worked well for us is actually by continuously engaging and improving the user experience for our customers, offering them services as part of that experience. It actually drives engagement and willingness to expand to more areas of the home. And on average, a consumer household has well above 50 light points inside their home, so there's plenty of room for expansion. And that is actually what has driven and justified continuous investment in the software service ecosystem around our products. Now, that's not to say that we don't want to bring a recurring revenue component towards our business over time. There will be a point where all of the light points are smart. And where we found some success there is where we are able to replace a hardware product that we would sell with software. And then people are willing to pay a recurring revenue for that. A nice example of that is we have an entertainment lighting solution where you can synchronize the lights in your home towards with the content on the TV. We have a device, we call it a sync box, that analyzes signals from video receivers, which we sell for $200. We have been able, in close partnership with TV brands, to actually build that as software, where consumers are now paying a subscription fee for that instead of having the hardware. Another nice example is something that Matt and I have been working on, where we're replacing physical motion sensors with software that runs in our bulbs to create similar use cases, where also we're trying out a subscription payment solution for that.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, congratulations on that partnership. That's always exciting when you can incorporate new technology. And Matt, I'll come back to you here in a minute have you comment on that as well. Really good points, George, just about the challenge of having a smart product and selling it as smart, and then also figuring out the engagement side, the service side, the what does the consumer really want to pay for? PG, I want to come to you because you've got a unique view, but a big view of the professional channel, and really a consumer having a different experience, one that is very, very full service from a company like Crestron, and how you all view the growth of home automation and this convergence of ecosystems in the home.
Definitely, and I want to answer this from both the Crestron perspective as a hardware manufacturer, but also to your point, especially through the lens of that professional installer, because Crestron doesn't sell direct to consumer. We always go through some type of professional installation company in between. But funny enough to George and Philip's Hue, there's a lot of similarities, even though we go to market very differently. We as well believe and have proven that you can still be a very profitable business as a mainly hardware focused company, and I think a lot of that is what George says. It comes with loyalty. If our pros, our dealers as we call them, are loyal to Crestron, they're going to recommend Crestron to their customer, we call the end user, time and time again. So if we can get a loyal base of these dealers, which we have on the Crestron side, they're going to keep recommending and specifying Crestron. And I think part of what happens over time then is the homeowner does upgrade, right? New technologies come out, they want something new for their house, or they move, right? And if they really like the system that they had in their last home, they're very likely to then want to put that system into future homes as well. But similarly, while we do focus a lot on hardware revenue, we also believe there is a big role that services and software revenue will start to play over time, and has started to play for some companies. If I take the view through kind of the professional installer, it's been harder for them as time has gone on to make money just on hardware revenues, partially because of all these DIY products. They are not nearly as margin rich as something like Crestron or other kind of traditional professionally installed systems. So with the likes of Crestron, there's still good opportunity for them to make money on the hardware. But even at the highest level, a 50,000 square foot home, I would say there's still products like Philips Hue and other more DIY centric products that are going into these installs. And it's really with the installer being the expert of saying, yes, this is something you could get direct to consumer, but this is a very reliable product, and it integrates very nicely with Crestron as an example. So it's been increasingly harder to keep everything running perfectly while the technologies become simpler. It's also become more complex. So I think because of that, all of the firmware, the software updates that George mentioned, are more important than ever, and will only continue to be more important as time goes on.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points about the complexity of the home now, and we are tracking the average household having 17 connected devices in it, but many households having a lot more connected devices on the network, and that makes the role of broadband services also very important, as well as the Wi-Fi and the connectivity being reliable, so that all of the products work. And so, Katie, let's see if we can get a view from you here on broadband services, and then Matt, we're going to come back over to you and talk a little bit about the technology integration.
Yeah, we approach it a little bit differently as a broadband provider, as an ISP here in our area. We differentiate ourselves from our competitors here with speed. We're 100% fiber optics, so speed is really where we can outpace our competitors in almost every case. So we go from 300 meg symmetrical all the way up to 25 gig symmetrical, and those speeds are available anywhere in our 600 square mile area. But our customers don't really, at this point, 15 years in, they're more concerned about the speed they're getting inside their home. They're more concerned about the devices and the technologies that we've been talking about, how they work and how easy they are for our customers to manage them and to pull back useful information from those devices. So that's where we see our role, is really foundationally bringing bandwidth to the home And then secondly, we see making the customer experience inside the home better for them. And it's all about giving them first whole home coverage. We want to be sure that there's no dead spots in the home. We want to be sure that we offer the best grade of security for their in-home network. We want to make it easy for them to set up guest networks, give them as much control as possible. And then probably our most important attribute, or what we're most concerned about, is that we wrap all of our products with customer service. So we've won a number of J.D. Power awards for customer service, but that's really our biggest point of differentiation. It's 24/7, 365 tech support all the time, no cost for truck rolls. And sometimes we are kind of crazy with that. With our roots as an electric, do not hesitate in rolling. It goes back foundationally to we want to enable all the devices, whether it's 17, 21, or 50. We want our customers to be able to use those effectively and really be able to manage their own lives much more efficiently with that bandwidth, and we want to enable them to do that. So it's a little bit different, but again, I think we all have the customer experience really in mind.
And so just a follow-up question, why does the smart home matter so much to EPB when you think about, maybe 5 years down the line, 2030?
Well, I think we're like any service provider. We want to own as much of the home experience as we possibly can for reasons of retention. At 70% market share, we still want to grow market share, but more importantly, I don't want to give any up, right? I want to retain our customers. It's a matter of convenience for our customers to be able to buy multiple services from us. It's also additional revenue streams for us. And what we absolutely do not want to become is a one product type company. Bundling, whether it's bundling for convenience or bundling for discount, is extremely important to us for customer satisfaction. If I can provide all the services for you to live comfortably in your home and use your own equipment, we're not in the business of selling those devices necessarily on the other end, but we are in the business of helping you manage those. If I can keep you from looking at a competitor's website to go buy other services from them, that's what we want to do. And so we use customer service as a way to really retain and add more products, bring more value. There's no doubt that value-added services are good for us as a provider, but we really feel like they're best for the consumer too.
Yeah, absolutely. Incremental revenue and lots of value all in one place for the customer. So great comments there. And Matt, let's come over to you and see if you can expand a little bit on what George was sharing with the new partnership and this idea of context and what that can mean, especially thinking ahead. And then I have a number of questions from the audience. And so Matthew, after your comments, I'm going to ask you a few questions to the group from our Q&A.
Awesome. Yeah, no, as George said, we've spent quite some time making sure that the idea of context coming from devices is something that works really well in the world. And it's something that you have to be able to trust and believe in. And so that sort of trust and belief is built on technology that has to do what it says it does. And so when you walk into a room, right, you want your lights to turn on, you need to know there's somebody there. And so the idea of sort of our Sensify technology embedded within the world of what Philips Hue is doing, and sort of all the layers they built on top of it to make it really work for consumers and be something that they trust and are delighted by the experience of, was really interesting to see kind of the reaction to it, as well as whenever we now get to put that up in friends and families' homes, and once you've experienced just a smart home that responds to you, it's really hard to go back, right? When you get used to walking into rooms, lights turn on for you, when you arm a security system, when you go away and your house is protected by a thing that's doing something else, it's just a very interesting experience. And so the data sources from an ambient context perspective will be really important feeders for the smart home of the future. And those context sources from a data perspective need to be built for what they're meant to be used for. And so the idea of having multiple different outputs for different purposes with different performance points is something that software-based sensing can do, and is, again, another really cool part of the interaction that George and I have had over the years, is just building out those features and making it a really awesome experience.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the smart home is about the experience, and sometimes, until you know what it is, you just don't know. And that's why I think a lot of companies really lean into trying out that experience, which is also interesting in the marketing and selling position. So let me go to a few questions though, because we have questions here. So here's a question: where do hubs like Homey Pro fit? And if you know Homey, they just were purchased by LG last year, I think. Does anybody have any comments about that particular question?
I could talk a bit about that. So I think what you see in the smart home is there are players that do a limited amount of things really well, right? And pool and optimize all their user experience and products in that, right? That's what we do with Philips Hue. We try to build the absolute best smart lighting experiences that we can. Now, of course, there is a desire to actually have more things inside your home work seamlessly together, right? And there you get these integrating hubs and systems and platforms that come along. Now, many players have chosen to have a very, I would say, high-level orchestrated experience with limited tunability. I think that's what the big tech companies, the voice assistants, are trying to do. But there's also, I think, a strong desire for people who want to tune and micromanage everything. And I think that's the role that players like Homey have built in. It's, I think, more of an enthusiast play for people who maybe don't want to go all the way to rolling their own servers in their home, but still want to have more fine-grained control to really orchestrate how things work inside their home. I think that's the niche they play in.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we certainly would see that Homey play as a similar, with SmartThings and Samsung, a similar position there that they're trying to take. George, I've got another direct question for you, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Why to go in mandatory paying subscription for the camera? I'm a user since 2013, and my house is totally equipped, even my Nobilia kitchen, but not the camera for now.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So yeah, vast majority of stuff we sell in Philips Hue, you buy it, you own it outright, you get the software update functionality service part for free. Now, cameras, I think there's a pretty established business model out there, which all of our competitors are playing, where you actually sell the hardware pretty much at cost or below cost, right? You subsidize that and you earn the money back as a margin on the service that you offer, which is fairly expensive because you have to store large video files over time. That's an too expensive service to offer for free. And that's kind of the prevailing business model in smart home cameras. Now, we do see a bit of a pushback, a trend against that, and there are more players that are going for subscriptionless local storage options. We've recently announced that we're going to be offering 24 hours of video storage for free as part of the hardware price. And I think as long as you can use it in a productive way and you can use it in a better way if you take a subscription, I think that works better. But I think it's a little bit the nature of the market. we would have to sell our cameras significantly more expensive than competition if we were not to follow that business model. And that's why we've gone that way for that specific part of the portfolio.
Okay, great. I've got a question for you, Katie. So this is more around the internet broadband experience. How do you help support customers that may have outdated cables in their home or multifamily buildings? Let's say they are Cat 6 and need to upgrade to Cat 8 in order to utilize the full speed potential.
So when we do installations, we're actually taking wiring inside the home up into to your jack. So along with our Wi-Fi, we're testing, we're doing heat maps all across, whether it's a business or it's a home. So if your cabling is out of date inside your home, when you purchase our services, we go inside the home and we fix that as we're installing. So if you buy a specific speed to our house, we're going to make sure before we leave the house that you've got that speed coming to inside your home. And with our Wi-Fi, we're going to make sure that the Wi-Fi that you've purchased, you're getting that in 100% of your building. So we don't just bring our services to the side of your house, we bring it inside your home, and all of that installation for all of our residential customers certainly is at no cost to the customer.
Okay, great. I've got another question here about Matter, and if there is any comments on the Matter usage picking up, and any vision on that one. I don't know if any of y'all want to comment on Matter. Peachy, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. I think everyone or not everyone, a lot of companies, people are kind of playing the waiting game a little bit, seeing how many brands really jump into Matter. What Matter is trying to do is amazing, and I think what would benefit all these industries, whether it be DIY or a professionally installed industry. If things in the house just work better together more seamlessly, just automatically, it's better for all of us as a DIY consumer or a professional installer who's installing this stuff. And you've seen more and more Matter devices come out, including some brands that are in the space that Crestron would play. But from kind of my perspective, at least, everyone's still kind of waiting to see, what's going to happen. I think the standards themselves have advanced. There's still limitations. It's kind of unclear what comes next, how fast it'll come. What they're trying to do is great with Matter, and we are in full support of that. But I don't think it's quite there yet, and I don't think every device that comes off the line from a brand like Crestron or consumer is Matter certified, and even if it is, how many people are truly using the Matter aspect of it. So I think from my perspective, it's not quite early days, but in a way it still is, and a lot of brands are kind of waiting to see how much it's gonna to pick up or not potentially.
Yeah, and certainly standards take a long time to play out. There is a specific question as a follow-up here. A different person, will Matter replace Zigbee or BLE or Z-Wave? Which is interesting if we had some Z-Wave Alliance people on, like Bill Scheffler. And there's a lot of people who've got strong opinions on this one, but does anybody want to comment on Matter replacing some of these other protocols?
I can comment a little bit. Like, I don't think it's going to replace it. I think it's a pretty straightforward, Matter is designed as a mechanism for devices to talk to each other and for them to be able to understand each other. What Matter doesn't do, and probably can never do, is the idea that devices will know what they should do with those interactions, because there's less of a kind of performance aspect to Matter. So we participate in the standards and look at what goes on specifically in the occupancy sensing arena, right? Data that comes from the cheapest PIR you can imagine and from a premium brand PIR like what George offers, right, goes into the Matter standard exactly the same. It's just that here's occupancy data that devices can subscribe to, and that's great for interoperability, right? But in terms of the consumer and the consumer being able to use it, yes, they have choice, but with choice comes responsibility. And I think a lot of the sort of more tightly controlled standards do a different job there than Matter. And so I think as you kind of put those pieces together, it's great for interoperability. It's an incredibly important standard. But I think there will be elements of user choice and understanding of the fundamentals of what all the devices are capable of when they put them on there that will become the sort of thing that needs to be solved as we move towards the future.
Yeah, and certainly I think Matter is more of that communication protocol and serves some different purposes. So, but we are tracking that at Parks Associates, and we do report on that. We certainly will be watching, the end of the year and CES. Before we go on and talk a little bit about the services that people are paying for and what is keeping customers around as our ending topic, I do want to go to one more set of questions specific to the importance of device security and security from the service provider perspective. And so here's the question. How important is device security compliance? For example, the potential implementation of government standards like the Cyber Trust Mark or private standards like the CSA product security verification. And then just as a side note, I have heard some various comments about the Cyber Trust Mark, that government standard may be being behind where it wants to be at this point. And so I don't know if anybody wants to comment on data security. And then Katie, we want to hear your view on this as a service provider as well. So who would like to contribute to that question? George?
I can talk about it. So I think there's a consumer side and there's a regulatory side, right? So I think from a consumer side, it is critically important that you establish trust with your consumers, right? In the end, they are inviting your products inside their home, and you need to, be responsible with that trust you've put to not compromise products they're putting in their home or worse, their network. Now, there's a lot more regulation, both in the US and Europe, coming along to try and bring up the standard of cybersecurity protections in products that we bring into our home, because frankly, a lot of companies do a bad job of this, right? And that is in some sense good, but I think it's really important that there are proper enforcement testing mechanisms for this, because otherwise what happens is, I would say established companies, they follow the letter of the rules that are there. They have to put in a lot of work, do a lot of testing, a lot of documentation. And the companies which don't, they just say they comply. And if there's no actual formal test certification enforcement, you've just created a burden for the companies that are actually doing a good job in the first place. So I think it's a good thing, but only if there's actual rigorous enforcement that companies actually comply with it, which has been a problem with a lot of these regulations in the past. At least that's how I would see it.
And one question there on the why aren't device manufacturers investing more? Because I mean, a lot of this means there's a cost to get certified. There's a cost to build products that are security proof. Is it because of the cost, or they don't understand?
I think it's so I think the reason companies don't do it is, I think, a lack of investment. It's hard to design and build good security design products. You need to have the right capabilities in-house. You have to invest the engineering effort. You have to invest in the right product hardware to be able to do it properly. And some companies take the easy, fast way and get away with it until it goes horribly wrong. At which point they maybe rebrand and start selling the same products again. Happens too much.
Yeah. Okay. PG, did you have any comments on this one?
I agree with George. I mean, I think, there's a big cost to it, and not just to get certified at the onset of whatever new product it is or service, it's maintaining that. And, standards change over time, so you have to constantly be working on that. It's obviously companies like Crestron and others that have been around for a long time, I don't think it'd be very hard to survive for such a long time if you didn't take security very core to everything you do, from how the product is made to how someone in a home or whatever type of space uses it. And to what George said, there's been, just in the smart home side, there's been too many oopsies, over the last couple of years from some of the biggest brands that I think have created a lot of uncertainty for the consumer, then that, now they don't want this type of product in their house, even though the product creates amazing experiences, because they're worried about that security concern. So yeah, we agree. Every company should be taking this as seriously as possible. And if you don't, to George's point, it's probably going to not end up good on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot around that word trust, and also the implications of the partnerships and who you're partnering with and what they're doing. And so it opens up some vulnerabilities there if you're not careful and understand what all those partnership people are doing. So Katie, do you have a perspective on this from the service provider view? I mean, you guys are in charge of that whole network in the home, and we're also seeing the introduction of new types of services on the network. All sorts of things consumers might be interested in, especially cyber.
It's interesting because we survey our customers pretty routinely, and the number one issue that always comes up is security, right? I mean, who hasn't gotten a letter that their data has been leaked, or they haven't personally experienced some sort of breach? So I think it's top of mind for everyone. So we certainly, as part of our Wi-Fi product, we have an app associated with the equipment in the home. And we talk a lot about how that app is monitoring bandwidth and what devices are on the network, so we can alert customers if a new device is added and they may not know it, or if there's one that's acting erratically or differently than it has in the past. We want to send that alert to the customer so they can manage it. There's a fine line between Big Brother monitoring what's going on in your home as opposed to someone who's sending you information that you can take action on. So we try to play that role of giving you information, giving you alerts, and letting you make the decision of how to handle that. From a corporate perspective, cybersecurity is definitely at the top of our list as well. The fiber optic network that runs our broadband businesses plays a huge role in running our electric grid as well. So you can imagine that cybersecurity from a overall network perspective is top of our list for concerns and monitoring. But certainly we're no different than our customers. So our role is to give them information, protect them as much as we can. We certainly don't own the devices necessarily on the other end, but we do have visibility into that network, and we want to keep the customer really informed on what's going inside their home so they can make the right moves for themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to have solutions for consumers to help protect their data, especially when we think of a world now where people are working at home a lot. We even have a lot of data showing people bringing 2 internet lines in the house, one for their work data, one for their personal data, and now you've got all sorts of could be very sensitive data, depending on what that internet line is connecting to and what business is on the other end. As we think about 2030, this is all going to continue to grow as a concern, with more devices on the network, with more services everywhere, and with consumers really adopting everything that they are these days. So we only have a couple minutes left, but I would love to hear from each of you as our ending comments on, where the value is coming from that consumer perspective. So when you think about your particular business and what you're offering, what is of most value to that customer, and where do you think that value is going to be when you think about 3 to 5 years out? So if you could keep your comments to under 2 minutes, and so we close out on time. But I'd love to start with you, Matt, and then we will go to George, PG, and then we will end with Katie. So Matt, if you would go ahead.
Yeah, awesome. So our thesis is that the idea of sensing and sensing data is sort of a fundamental building block to IoT. And so our focus has been making that something that our customers, folks like Philips Hue and others, get that data locally without impacting any of their kind of security aspects of things. We don't have a cloud service anyone has to send anything to. You don't have to trust a small company with all that data. And so as we sort of evolve, it's about building trust that ambient context sensing is something that's real and can work. And so as different sort of technologies continue to improve, you get the integration of services, and you can offer things on top of existing devices. So, the idea of lighting and security together is a lovely construct that I think will continue to gain momentum, and more services will be built on fundamentally sound building blocks, and we want to be a fundamentally sound building block, and that's what we're continuing to invest in and continuing to push forward with.
Okay, great. George, would you like to go ahead?
I think the key thing that creates value in the smart home is the same as in a lot of product spaces. It's delightful experiences that really add value towards your home. If you build products to deliver that, people will want them in more areas of their home, and other consumers will follow suit. So as long as you keep making great products that improve people's lives, you'll do well.
Building the smart home. Absolutely. Great comments there. PG, would you like to go ahead?
Tough to disagree with George or Matt. I was going to say something very similar. Delightful experiences are key. I do think before you even get there, simplicity of the technology in the home is absolutely core. Whether you are a DIY setting this up yourself, or you have a professional, a pro that is, you've paid money to set this up for you. Whatever you expect to happen with whatever technology experience, it just needs to happen. And I think too often in any size home, smart home, you name it, that doesn't always happen, and that deters people from wanting to invest more in their smart home. So if you keep it simple and you do what you allow the consumer to think is going to happen, and then as part of that, you create these delightful experiences where technology is almost in the background, helping you out. And I think Matt and I need to have a chat after the session, because when I think about, the future, I do think, homes should be more predictive. They should use more sensors, more data. We're at a place now where there's plenty of data in the home that the user should first, they should be able to opt in or out, right? There's a line there that has to be drawn about, what do I want my home to be able to do for me or not? But I think, with all this data, you can create very natural automatic experiences. Technologies in the background, it can be personalized for the user even, and I think we're there from a technology perspective. And as we fast forward a few years, I think, and I hope that more of those experiences, whether that's through Crestron or Hue or others, are just happening for the consumer. They're just living in their home. The things that they want to happen are happening. They're not having to think about it. If they want to intervene and push a button, open an app, they always have that ability. But we're at a place now where technology is far enough along, including adding some layers of AI there, where great experiences should just happen in the background, and technology should not be a burden. It should really be, an added value to my day-to-day life in my house.
Yeah, absolutely. Simplify the experience and create reliability to make sure everything is happening the way it should. So great comments there. Katie, we'll have you close us out here with your final comments.
I would just say over the next 5 years, I think there'll be even a larger explosion in different devices and new sensing devices, all sorts of applications that we've never really even thought of. And as a service provider, I want our customers to think of us as the glue, really the glue inside the home that brings all those devices together for them for the reasons that they purchased them. Make them work for them the way that they want them to, and make it easy. And when they don't, we want to be that trusted advisor or that trusted consultant who can come out and help them make them work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you all are all playing an enormous role in building the smart home of today and tomorrow. And I really do want to thank you for your valuable time in joining us and our audience to understand more about what's happening and what's to come. So I hope to see you all at CES, if not before, and certainly at our May event again, hosting our 30th Connections Conference in May and our 20th year to host Connections Summit at CES. So thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Great to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. And thank you all in the audience for listening to our topics today on the Future Outlook 2030. As a reminder, Parks Associates is here to help educate you and the market. We'd love if you're interested in purchasing any of our research or working with us on sponsorships, but we also have white papers and webinars and a podcast out there in the market to learn from. We hope you will attend our events as we end the year. And of course, our team here is available for you if you have any questions. I want to reiterate that we are so excited to celebrate 30 years of hosting Connections, the premier connected home conference in 2026. We would love to get involved with you. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me or any of our team members. Thank you again for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you soon.